As you've probably heard this week, lots of Zelda talk going on, and not related to, oh, the game's coming out, I'm
But I've seen
excited.
everything.
And the game did leak, so people have seen everything. It's true. We're not posting leaks on Go Nintendo. This is not a story about leaks, as in I'm not sharing details. You are spoiler free. Don't worry, I would never do that to you. Also, I have only confirmed that the game leaked online. I did not dive into the information because I don't want to know it. But there's this whole
I
thing
wouldn't have
going
a problem.
on. And hi, Solamaster Link. I always appreciate that GIF every week. I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to remain professional, but I'm going to be more open than usual. I will try to answer some questions if I can and I feel comfortable, but it's a topic worth discussing. And it starts off with the leak. So, like I said,
starts now.
Tears of the Kingdom leaked online. Somebody got the game early and they ripped it and uploaded it online. And, you know, now piracy.
What are you thinking?
Piracy ahoy. So, lots of people are out there playing the game. They've downloaded an illegal copy and they are emulating it on their PC or Switch or what have you. And it is what it is. Nintendo's trying to get videos removed and all that. So, not having a fun time. But the game leaks. Let's put that aside. Here's the other side of things. As you no doubt know, the gaming press gets early review copies of games, and that works for all publishers and developers. If you are a member of the gaming press and you can verify your credentials to more or less degree, depending on whatever the person wants or whatever the company wants, you know, they'll look into your statistics or they'll just verify through an email or they'll be like, okay, I believe you. Whatever. It differs between companies. Obviously, it differs a lot between indie companies and traditional big name third parties. But a game comes out, whatever it may be, or a game is coming out. And as an outlet, you would like to have hands-on or previews or reviews for whatever the embargo might be. So you try and get in touch. I've done it a bazillion times. I have a bazillion PR contacts at a whole bunch of companies. I will say Nintendo, in my experience, is the most difficult to work with. And that's only gotten worse. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong. They handle things the way they do. I can't explain it. After 18 years of running a site, I can't explain it. And this is a shared sentiment between everyone in the gaming press. Nobody understands how Nintendo operates when it comes to review copies. I want to remain
sons of bitches
professional. This isn't like they should do this and they should do that. There's a whole conversation
I'm fed up with this world.
I want to get into. So, as you may know, depending on how long you've been around Go Nintendo, we used to get early copies of games before they came out. We would do our reviews for the embargo date. It hasn't been like that in a long time. It ended with Super Mario Odyssey, or it ended before Super Mario Odyssey. Here's what I do know for sure. Whatever Mario and Luigi game came out on 3DS at that time, a member of the press took their press copy and leaked it online. That's what I know.
Oh my God!
Do I know who it was? I think I do, but I'm not sure. That's not the point, though. That's what happened. Not surprisingly, Nintendo was very angry about that. Now, again, I should say that, like, I should be completely open and honest and say Nintendo has not confirmed any of this information to me. Anything I share is my opinion. This is anecdotal evidence because unless Nintendo confirms or denies, we don't have the definitive statement or proof. I'm just saying I've worked in the industry for a long time. I've talked to a lot of people. This is a general consensus among most of the gaming press. But we reported on at the time the thing that went down with Mario and Luigi because it was a leak. It got online and then the whole thing ensued. So that's what happened. Nintendo got angry, obviously. All this makes sense. All this isn't anything revelatory. But from that point on, that is like a point I can put in a calendar, a date, where Nintendo changed how they handled early review copies. They still gave them out, but they completely changed how they gave them out and to who they gave them out, whatever outlets. Now, how did they change it? I don't know. And I've tried for 5 years to find out. I've reached out to my point of contacts and been like, is there any way I could get back to where I was? And
That's not possible.
yeah, they've never said it's not possible. And they've only said, just keep doing what you're doing and send us what you're doing. And it's always a topic of conversation for each game. Do I believe that? I don't know. My PR people, I'm sure, are trying. That's true. But, 5+ years on, nothing's changed. So I don't know. I don't know. But
I understand.
I've gone nuts being like, is it because I posted about this story? Is it traffic? Is it topics of discussion on the podcast? Like every angle and everything has been like, nope, it's not because of this.
Question.
Everything's great here. Everything's great here. We really like this thing. Here's the other thing. I would never tailor news to Nintendo's whims. Like, oh, dear Nintendo, I want press copies. Tell me what to report on. There have been stories where Nintendo's like, hey, we don't like that. And I'm like, okay, I was in the wrong there. I can yank that. And other stories where I've been like, no, I stand by that. It's staying.
Not
so,
even close.
give and take with all of it. So I want to say, like, I'm not like, oh, Nintendo. If Nintendo was like, well, if you do this, that, and the other thing, we'll give you early review copies. Depending on what those things are, I would do it. If they're like, not like never say anything bad about Nintendo or don't review games negatively, things within reason, like how I handled reports on piracy. I will still always tell people that games are pirated because it's important information. But if they're like, hey, refrain from using a link that could potentially point people where to download that stuff, okay, I can do that because I don't really like pointing at that stuff anyway either. And you guys know how I feel about piracy. This is all hypotheticals. I just want to stress the point. I would never change my content just to get Nintendo's early review copies. I will report the news as I feel is important and fair and without opinion when it comes to news. Opinions are for here on the podcast or reviews.
I have spoken.
So that's all that thing. Now we get to Tears of the Kingdom. Again, in my opinion, based on evidence that I've gathered on my own and multiple sources I've talked to, not at Nintendo, so not confirmed by Nintendo, but with Tears of the Kingdom, it appears Nintendo has gotten even stricter with early access to review copies. How are they handling this? I don't know. How are they deciding who gets what? I don't know. But there has been a tightening on review copies. Is it just for Tears of the Kingdom, or is this a new thing going forward? I don't know. I can't tell you because I got no clue. But I can tell you, having spoken to multiple other outlets that usually get early stuff have not gotten early stuff. And again, that's Nintendo's right. They can do that. I'm not like, I did this, I did that, they did this, they did that. How come they got this and I don't get that? That's not what I'm saying here. Nintendo, it's their game. They can do whatever they want. Doesn't have to make sense to anybody. I might not like it. Other outlets might not like it, but it's Nintendo. It's their games. It's their company. Run it how you want. So, yes, other outlets have not gotten the game early as they expected based on previous coverage of all other Nintendo games. And they're all trying to figure out why. Now, why am I talking about all this? Well, as you might have seen, there's been a lot of hubbub online about these review copies. Now, I'm not going to name outlets in general. I know everybody thinks I'm talking about one outlet in particular. And I am talking about that outlet, but I'm talking about many others you don't know that aren't going to have reviews for when the embargo lifts. When is the embargo? I don't know. Before Friday on next week. So there are other outlets besides the one everybody knows that I'm talking about that are not getting the codes early. Maybe they'll get day one. I don't know. We'll get day one. I think we'll get day one. Who knows anymore? But some outlets have remained quiet publicly. Other outlets have decided to speak about it publicly, and they can do that. But I feel they have not handled it in a professional way at all. They have just basically put together features that are like, wah, this isn't fair. We should get this. We get this many readers, or we do this kind of coverage, or we have this long-standing relationship. This is unfair.
Who do you think you are?
So they put together articles and they put together social media responses and videos. And here's what I will say. I understand the frustration. I do, because I've been there and I've lived it for the last 5+ years. I understand. I get it, that it's frustrating because A, you think you're doing everything right. B, when you reach out to make sure you're doing everything right, everything is approved of. C, you have all the data to back up your claims and things don't change. I get the frustration. It's one of those things where you have to be like, it's out of my hands. I have done everything I can. I am proud of the work I've done and the support is there. Best you can do. Still, you feel it in the pit of your stomach. You're like, oh, I wish this, I wish that. But it is what it is. You go on. For outlets, big name outlets, to basically bitch and moan publicly and be like, it shouldn't be like this. I don't mind an outlet saying, listen, an outlet can say whatever they want, but I don't mind an outlet being like, here's the situation. Here's why we're not getting the game early. We wish we could cover it for you. We will have coverage at launch as quickly as possible and as thoroughly as possible. That's fine. Tell your readers you're not going to get it. I got no problem with that. But to be like, this shouldn't be, I don't know why we're blacklisted. Do they not know our audience? Do they not know how far our reach is? Do they not know our the importance of our voice in the industry? Like, let's have a little bit of let's take a more humble approach here. Just
May the rats eat your eyes!
For lack of a better word, embarrassing. I'm not saying again that they can't do it, that they shouldn't do it. It's just surprising to see that when they're faced with adversity, they automatically default to like being like a little kid in middle school about it, just like whining and complaining and crying. Now, I know there's outlets, again, I'm not naming names. I know there's outlets who've shared things on social media that were considered very hot takes and many were offended by and some called racist. I know, I've seen it. I'm not naming names, but if you know, you know. Was it racist? Not for me to decide. I will say personally, I looked at it and I was like, yikes, did they post this and not think it was going to come across like this? It's possible. I've posted things before where I never posted anything where it's viewed as racist, but I have posted things before where they were seen in a light that I would have never imagined. And I was like, oh my God, how embarrassing. And I apologized for it. It's not what happened here. A lot of people were like, this is racist.
The news outlet posted a racist thing towards Nintendo.
So not the news outlet. One of the people that works for the outlet. I want to say it was like someone way high up on the totem pole posted it.
Like a tweet or like on their
It was
website?
a tweet. It was a
Okay.
tweet. Yeah. But you know, they represent the site. And then they removed it because backlash was quick. And I saw it and I was like, whoo, this is rough. Did they really not see it in this light? But I will give them the benefit of the doubt. You could say that's wrong for me to do. But like I've said, I posted things and they were taken in ways that I never even imagined. And I apologized for it and I took it down. I don't think this person has apologized for it, but they did take it down. But they kind of were like, it was kind of like a move where they hid from it. Again, I'm not up to date as of today. I was very busy today. Things could have changed. I'll retract my statements. But it is what it is, what it is, what it is. So it's a whole crazy thing going on right now. So the game leaks. Nintendo's angry. The press is not getting the copies as they usually would, or some of the press aren't. Some of them still are. Obviously, we'll find out on day one. Oh, and here's the other thing. I didn't even mention this, and this is another huge part. Hi, Kufu. Good to see you. Some outlets, and again, I'm not here to name names. I'm just making it known. And you know what? Good on some other press people out there who have said this on social media, their personal accounts. Some outlets, because they are not getting Tears of the Kingdom early and have decided, well, that's just wrong. We should be getting it early. They have decided to pirate the game. So they are pirating the game, playing a pirated copy. How are they going to release content? If you put out your coverage, be it a review or whatever, day and date when Nintendo's embargo is, Nintendo knows who they sent a copy to and who they didn't. That outlet could be like, we got it from a mom and pop shop. It's going to be Nintendo's burden to prove that, I guess. But Nintendo's not stupid either. They're going to be like, oh, 8 people got it from a mom and pop shop and they posted their content when the embargo lifted. You know, I don't know. But I will say 100%. This is not like, I think this is happening. This is I know this is happening. Some outlets have pirated the game because they're like, we deserve to have the game. And if Nintendo's not going to give it to us, we'll just steal it because we can't miss out on the content. I know how much it sucks missing out on the embargo deadline for a review because that's when everybody's going to look. That's when everybody's going to read. That's when everybody gets their traffic. I know. I get it. But that's not, in my opinion, a reason to pirate the game because you're like, Nintendo, how could they do this to us? I'll steal it and I'll get the review coverage out there. Because, you know, some people could say it under the guise of, because we got to inform our readers it's the right thing to do. The real guise is, if we're not there at the day one, we're not going to get as much traffic. So if your readers believe in what you do and want to see your opinion, they will look at it a week later or 2 weeks later or whatever. So it's a whole crap show all around. And again, there have been other press members who have taken to social media and said things along the lines of, can't wait for embargo to lift to see a whole bunch of outlets that are like, oh, we found a copy at Walmart and that's how we did it, because they too know this happens. And like I said, this isn't a me saying like, I know this happens and it's going to happen here. This is a case of me saying it is happening. I know for a fact it's happening. So take that as you will.
Are you?
It's me. I'm doing it.
Yeah, was it you?
Oh, crap. This is what it is. You say like, I would never do that to throw them off your trail. Yeah, no, I'm not.
No, that's not what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, and you probably couldn't elaborate. But
Hi, 10th Division.
Are you, because you're in the industry, are you
Hi, Tulsa.
On speaking terms or like colleagues in a way with any of these people that you know are doing this? And if so, are you? It's not your place to say something to them, I guess. Like you wouldn't do that.
They know how I feel, but I'm not going to be like, you shouldn't do that. They know how I feel. If they want to do it, do it. Go ahead. It's your outlet. It's you do whatever you want to do. This isn't like I'm going to call up Nintendo and be like, Nintendo, they're stealing copies. I mean, it is what it is. Like, do whatever you want to do. If you're pirating a game to make the embargo to put your content out there, you know you're taking a risk. It's not like you're going to pretend to be like, I had no idea. I thought I could legally download this game online. Or I had no idea that if I didn't get a review copy and posted content at the same time when the embargo lifted, that Nintendo might think that's fishy. Like, you know what you're getting into. And this isn't like me playing telephone where it's like a friend of a friend of a friend told me. This is me talking to the people who are doing it. So.
And they've said yes.
It is what it is.
Like they don't
some have said yes. Some have said, no comment, winky face, things like that.
So. And how do you know? Because do they have like stories up that say like, review coming? Like on
no,
the day,
no,
like...
they've just made it like, because as much as Nintendo doesn't want to hear this, all the outlets talk to each other. Like if you're covering Nintendo press people are talking to Nintendo press people. It happens. It's always happened, and it will always happen. And some people are very brazen with their, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So,
well, is this only affecting Nintendo? Like, I'm trying to think of something big, like God of War Ragnarok. Did anyone try to pirate any of these huge other like Sony or Microsoft games?
Only speak from the press side for myself, so I know Nintendo stuff. I don't know what the situation was with any of those games. I know games leaked from other companies. Is it crazy to think that press has gotten in on the leaks to do reviews? I don't think it's crazy at all, but I don't have any evidence of that. That's just me speculating based on my situations with other things. So yes, I would imagine it has happened. So
this whole thing it's frustrating to even hear about. And it's kind of disheartening, the whole entire thing, and what these outlets feel like they need to do. I guess I don't like, that's disgusting to me, but
I understand the desire to want to be there because you are going to miss traffic and you think nobody cares about your opinion afterwards. And to some degree, that is true. There are people who aren't going to give a crap because they're playing the game.
They're already playing it.
It's like, I get it. I understand that feeling. I do not agree with taking that next step, but that's me. I mean, I think we can all agree that downloading a pirated copy of a game is illegal. That's stealing. Like I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, and
even if you do it, like even if you're a listener and you do it, it's not like you're going to pretend like that's not illegal. I'm not talking about the act of emulation, because I know everybody gets all up in arms and, oh, it's legal and all that stuff. I'm talking about not paying for a game, going online and downloading that game. I think we can all agree that is theft and against the law. Like, I think we all agree there, whether you do it or not. But, and like I said, back in the day, I used to do it all the time with music and games. Like when I was a teenager and emulators came out, I was like, this is the best thing in the world. I can play whatever NES game I want. And I did it for years. And then I was like, this is wrong. And I'm not going to say I never thought of it at the time, but I was like, what's the, I was a kid. I was like, what's a big deal? They're not making any money. It doesn't matter. And I bought all these games years ago, but then one day, you grow up or you think about things differently and you're like, I was just making excuses because I wanted to play it. So I decided for me, it wasn't the right thing to do. So,
well, when we're getting to a point with this Nintendo stuff where they're not giving people these games before the street date, is it better for them to keep it from people? It still gets leaked and then outlets are illegally downloading this? Or should they just be like, look, the thing's going to get leaked anyway. I don't know what it is with Nintendo games, but people want to leak them where it doesn't seem like they're leaking. I mean, I never hear about other games getting leaked. So it's like Nintendo games only, it seems like, and they're not giving it to outlets that really could use it. I mean, if the game's going to get leaked either way, I feel like they should just go back to giving you the games and then people, they wouldn't have outlets illegally downloading. Again, it's the outlet's fault for doing that. We know it's illegal, but I mean, what's better for the game, the company, and for the outlets? Like, what's the best? Obviously, to give you a copy of the game. You should have been playing this game for 2 weeks already, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, my whole thing about this isn't like, and so, long story short, I want the game. Of course I want the game, but yeah, that's not my point in saying any of this. And I don't, my argument isn't like, see, Nintendo, this is what happens. You don't let the inmates run the asylum. You don't look at this and you're like, oh my God, we should give everyone the game because this is what happens if we don't. Like, the game's still going to leak. Nintendo doesn't really care about the press people I don't think they're going to care about the press people who are, they'll be upset with them and something might happen, but you're looking at like, let's say 50 people. And I think that's being generous, versus the millions who will illegally download the game. That's what they're worried about. The people who get the game uploaded online and then it gets disseminated to everybody else who's involved with piracy. That's what Nintendo wants to stop. And if they stop that, then it would stop the press from doing it too, because you're cutting off the guys at the top, rather than being like, oh, we've made our press upset, we should give them the game early. Yeah, so I'm not of that mind, but we'll see what happens. There's still a whole week before this comes out. So these outlets know that they can't post videos because Nintendo will yank them, or try to yank them. And they could probably get away with writing stuff, but even that would draw attention. So there's no doubt they're going to wait for the embargo to lift. Again, not sure when that is, but they'll wait for the embargo, but they'll make sure they're there with the embargo. So next week, keep a close eye on whatever's going on, because Nintendo's reviews, as many outlets do, Nintendo's reviews always come with restrictions. And it's like, don't show this. Don't show this amount of gameplay. Like, keep gameplay clips to a minute or 2 minutes. Don't talk about this story detail. Don't show this location. So there will be videos that, fall into one category that you're like, oh, they all didn't talk about this and they all didn't show this. And there will be other videos that show all that stuff. So I think you know what you're getting when you see that kind of stuff. So pay attention. It's not going to be like IGN, obviously. The IGN is going to be fine, or GameSpot. Like those, they're following the rules. I'm just saying, the smaller outlets. I don't even like using the word small, but, not the prolific outlets. So keep an eye out. If you care. If you don't care, then you don't care. I'm not telling you should care either. I just thought this whole thing was really interesting, because it's Nintendo's biggest game of the year easily. And this is what's going on. Insanity 2 weeks out from the game. So
could Nintendo do something if they were able to prove that an outlet did pirate the game for a review? Could they do
from a legal standpoint, or
Well, from any, because the
Oh, they
outlet's
could.
already not getting any Nintendo games early. So what are they
Yeah.
going to do? Slap them on the wrist? Oh,
There's
you're never getting Nintendo. Who cares?
Uninvited
We're just going to
to
pirate them all.
uninvited to other press events, lose your press contacts at all. That Nintendo could let other PR firms and other game companies know that these people did this. Yeah, there could be repercussions. Yeah, legally, I got no clue. That'd be a hell of a legal battle. If anybody would try to be Nintendo, but I don't know if they really want to. So, yeah, it's a whole mess. People are upset for all kinds of reasons. But you, as a consumer, I hope you have managed to avoid spoilers with the leak out there, because we only got 7 days left. 7 days remain. So hopefully nothing's been spoiled for you. Stay safe on social media. But that's your story. Who knows? Maybe next week, this time, I'll be telling you how Nintendo got mad at me. And I knew that going into this. So it is what it is.
I don't
It's
know
the
how
news.
they could be upset with you about just talking like this candidly, how you did, and you didn't say anything wrong at all. And
Well, they've gotten very mad at me for much less in the past, so we'll see what happens. But again, my duty is to share the news with Nintendo fans. My duty is not to bend the knee to Nintendo. So, again, I don't go out of my way to do anything to upset Nintendo, because I'm not an asshole. I feel that'd make me an asshole. But I report the news, and I feel like this is really big news. So there you go. That's why I'm sharing it. That was half hour of hopefully something you found interesting. I certainly find it interesting.
But I've seen everything.
The whole seedy side of the gaming press scene. But
Moving on.
it's not new. I'm sure some of you knew all that stuff was going on anyway.